This is Isaiah chapter 32, verse 7 in the NLT. The smooth tricks of scoundrels are evil. They plot crooked schemes. They lie to convict the poor, even when the cause of the poor is just. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessing be multiplied on all you brethren teaching his word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, shalom. I'm the brother Dama Gabar, here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, and as it says here, the instruments of the true are evil, man. It's to say he deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak right. But the main point I want to get out of this, the scripture, Isaiah 32 and 7, is the instruments of the true, which we know is Esau, Edom, and you go to this word for instruments. The Hebrew word is kala, yeah. It says implementation of hunting or war, It's an implement of music, implement tool of labor, pretty much, we know how Esau pretty much weaponizes everything, and he can implement any type of, instrument, whether it be of a war, whether it be of psychological operations, whether it's of, manufactured T attacks, manufactured, power outages, manufactured famines. He basically can use anything at his disposal to use it as an instrument for wickedness, or an instrument of cruelty, an instrument of oppression, instrument of left-handedness, man. So this is why we got to constantly be on point and be aware that at this point and at this time, as we're getting closer to the end, that you got to have it in your mind that this devil has no bounds. There's no limits and there's no depths of wickedness that he won't go to get his agenda across, and to make you people suffer, and to put the squeeze on you people, and to use any opportunity at his, any opportunity that he can to bring in this new world order, man. And he doesn't have no problem, especially doing it at the expense of you American people. Anything that can bring fear, that can bring trauma, that can bring, perplexity, that he can use in order to accomplish his agenda, he will do. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm not, but then again, as I read this article, that was the first scripture that popped into my mind, is that the instruments of the true, that this man will use anything that he possibly can to get his point across, or to bring in this new world order. And I saw this article that made me think. It says largest U.S. power grid on verge of cracking due to historic heat dome. All right, and as these, as we've been seeing, in the next couple of days, it's been, told that there's going to be a huge heat dome. We already saw it over there in Europe. 1,300 people died. They're talking how this heat dome came and it was devastating. It was cruel, and that is going to come here to the West too. And, and we can't put it past these devils manipulating the weather, or, genetically modifying the weather, or using their different HARP and different, weather modification techniques and abilities to force a heat dome so that he could, turn off the power grid and leave you people in a position of complete and total agony, and no air conditioning, with no power, so that he can further, push the agenda of climate change, and how, he can use this to gain more control, ultimately to put more squeeze on you people, for him to be able to tell people, look, we need to start, we need to start rationing these things out, and, or he could just use it just to, to bring oppression, and to bring pain and suffering upon you people. You see? So you can't put it past this devil, man. So he's already telling you, yeah, we know it's the heat dome coming, and he can always remember, he'll tell you what he's going to do before he do it in a roundabout way. This could be him telling you that, oh, well, we told you that the power grid was on the verge and this heat wave and everybody running their air conditioning and everybody turning on the heat trying to stay cool, it caused a collapse. And, and that can leave you people out there just shit out of luck with no air conditioning, sweating, hot, sweltering with no help in sight because because of the power grid, and they might tell you it might take 2-3 days before we can get the power grid back up. And, the type of damage and the type of negative effects that would have on the people that would have to suffer that, all the food in your refrigerator would, if it was for multiple days or even hours, the food in your fridge or the things in your ice box could possibly go to waste, defrost, and just totally be wasted unless you, utilize it and eat it. And at the price of groceries and the way that people are online suffering and talking about how they can't afford to live, they barely can afford to put food on the table. Can you imagine if, they use this to, turn the power off for hours or even days on end, and the little bit of food that you do have eventually goes bad because, there's no electricity or power. You see, this could bring more suffering and more pain upon you people. And, and these are some of the instruments that the troll could use to further, demoralize you people, man. But let's read some of this. It says cooling demand across PJM interconnections operation area will surge today and into late week as tens of millions of households and businesses crank up their air conditioners to stay cool under the emerging heat dome. The spike in power demand is expected to strain the grid, which helps explain why PJM preemptively declared a grid emergency on Tuesday to preserve reserves and reduce the risk of rolling blackouts. PJM forecast that power demands could reach 165 gigawatts on Thursday. This would test the grid's all-time peak of 165.563 gigawatts set in August 2006. It would also exceed PJM's prior peak forecast this summer. To mitigate blackout risk, the Department of Energy directed PJM on Tuesday to dispatch specified units and to order their operations as needed to maintain reliability. There is a chance that the grid operator might have to tap backup generation as last resort before or during a level 3 energy emergency. You see? And like I said, this would be the perfect opportunity for these devils to just, tell you beforehand that this could strain the grid and then just shut the grid down just to see how you people react and how you would suffer if you had to go throughout this heat dome for 3 or 4 days or however long, this psychological operation or the situation, how you will react to it if it does happen. Now, I'm not saying that it will, but then again, you can't put anything past this devil, man. This could be some of that revelation of the method. We tried to prepare, but, it just didn't go as planned. And we're going to try to get it up as soon as possible just to see how you people react and just to see how you people move during, this could be one of those drills that they use. It says Bloomberg forecast for maximum temperatures across Washington, D.C. metro area could reach low triple digits through Thursday through Saturday. Natural gas, nuclear, and coal power generation currently make up the top power mix for the PJM. It says a mega heat dome is set to descend on eastern half of the U.S., prompting the Energy Department to issue 2 emergency orders to reduce the risk of rolling blackouts in the mid-Atlantic area as PJM interconnections braces for record power demand. This is DOE's first orders directed PJM region, which serves 67 million people across 13 states, to dispatch specified units and to order their operation as needed to maintain reliability. Whatever. A hot weather alert is currently in effect for the entire region of PJM serves through July 3rd. The second order states, blah, 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 blah. What else is in there? Yeah, it says hot temperatures beginning tomorrow will increase cooling demand and boost power demand on the PJM grid, potentially straining the systems during peak late afternoon hours. Concerns about grid reliability have risen as data centers build-outs and are blamed for soaring power bills, yet aging grids and climate policy should also be blamed. You see? So, hey, man, we'll see what happens. Like I said, maybe nothing will happen. But then again, maybe this devil might use this, as as a test to see how you people will react, to like I said, to bring more suffering and to bring more pain upon you people, man. So this is why we can't be ignorant of anything, and this is why you can't put anything past this damn devil, man. All right. It says, it says, Ecclesiasticus 5:15, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. See, so you can't be ignorant out here, especially when it's concerning Esau, Edom, and the way that he operates and who he is as the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. And you have to understand that all the instruments of the true, all the instruments of this scoundrel, man, are evil. Like I said, you can't put it past this devil that he won't use this as a test to, to burn you people out, man. To see how many people, can how many bodies he can rack up by just pulling the plug on the power grid for a couple of days, and see how you people move and how you react, so he could get a better understanding. So like I said, you can't put anything past this devil, man. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. You see, you can't be ignorant, man, to anything that this man does, and you can't put anything past this damn devil. Remember, Revelation 12:12 says he's getting ready to come down with great wrath, seeing that he has but a short time. And like I said, and also, hey, they could shut down the power grid over there where all the heat dome is, and they could blame it as a cyber attack and blame it on Iran for not having negotiations or whatever the case might be, or they could blame it on Russia to further, escalate this third world war, to further, their agenda, and be able to blame their ops or to blame Iran so that they can be justified and going to war with them, man. So, you just can't put anything past the devil at this point, man, because pretty much everything is, there's no limits, to how low this man won't go. But this is why we got to constantly be circumspect. Matter of fact, let me get that. Ephesians 5:15. Then I'll close it. All right. Because, hey, we're just in those times, man. This is Ephesians 5:15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Right. And there was talks, too, that on the 250th anniversary that there could be so-called T attacks, man. And like I said, who do you think they're going to blame? They're going to blame Iran. They're going to blame Russia. They're going to blame some foe of America, even if it is a home, a self-sabotaging mission. But at the end of the day, this would be the perfect opportunity for them to pull one of these things so they can be justified in going to war with Iran. Because believe you me, they don't want peace in the Middle East. They don't want peace with Iran. They want war. And seeing that Iran hold all the cards, that America lost the war against Iran, and Iran is holding the cards, and they're, sitting pretty comfortably right now. This would be a good opportunity for them to bring a FF and blame Iran so that they can be fully justified in going to war with them, man. So, we'll definitely keep our eyes and see what happens, man. But hey, this is how you got to be thinking in these times, man. You got to be circumspect. You got to be, dialed in. You got to understand that we're living in very volatile and very evil times, man. And we know that these devils are getting ready to come down with great wrath, man. They have to force the situation. They're moving very desperately. And hey, time is not of the essence for these devils to try to get this thing off the ground. So anything like this that they could use to push it and to be justified in it is, on the menu, man. Hey, so with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, Lord willing, this is edifying. Until the next one, shalom.